A few years ago, our industries went into intensive care. Drive around some industrial areas today and you will see old and rusty factories. These are just memories of what used to be. It's time to rebuild our industries. But we should not dream of rebuilding old models. Times have changed. Technology is evolving. It's time for us to take a fresh look at what a Zimbabwean industry should look like. But first, what is the state of industry today? Let's take a look.
The state of the nation.
A few years ago, industry was in freefall. Capacity utilization was very low. What this means is that companies were using just a small part of their factories. Times are still tough, but are we starting to see a shift? Here are some signs that give us hope. In 2019, capacity utilization was 36.4%. It rose to 47% in 2020. This year, in 2021, forecasts are expecting it to rise to 61%. This is according to the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries. This improvement was because of various factors. For example, power supply improved last year and companies started getting better access to forex through the RBZ auction system. So capacity use is good sign number one. Good sign number two, in 2017, only 5% of the goods in our supermarkets were locally made. Today, according to the CZI, that number is now 70%. Yes, the bulk of goods in our supermarkets are made in Zimbabwe. Here's another thing that's happening. Most of our imports used to be goods for consumption. This has changed. In the first 5 months of the year, Zimbabwe imported capital goods worth $527 million. Capital goods are stuff like the equipment and tools used in industries. A lot of companies are refurbishing their factories, so they are importing equipment. Capital goods were 15.5% of all the inputs. It was the highest category of all imports. On average, capital goods now make up $105 million every month. What was it in 2020? It was $81 million a month. At the moment, 70% of the foreign currency that is being allocated by the forex auction is going towards raw materials, machinery, and equipment. So there is a sign of a good thing starting to happen in that sector. But does this mean we can now start talking about an industrial revolution? Not quite yet. There's still a lot of work to do. But here are things to think about. Long ago, the industries we knew were these big factories, Zisco Steel, Cone Textiles. We see a lot of headlines talking about reviving these old industries. Well, maybe we are caught in a time warp here. We really should be looking to the future. We must stop being all romantic about what we used to have. Let's start focusing on building new, more innovative industries. And this is one of the things we want to see under the NDS-1. That's the government's economic program for the next 5 years. To rebuild our industry, we must go back to the source. In mining, we extract the rough diamond, then cut and polish them in one of our factories in Mutare. And in gold, we have the Fidelity Refinery. We need more industries that add value to our resources, such as platinum. And our other big resources are on the farms. Did you know 60% of the inputs that our industries use come from agriculture? This is why there must be growing focus on agriculture. Growing more inputs, grow industry. It's a simple equation. So what is happening in that space? We all know we had a good farming season, but we will not always have good rains, so we must prepare for the reality of climate change. This is why there is the Accelerated Irrigation Rehabilitation and Development Plan. What is this meant to do? It is a plan to increase the area under irrigation. Over the next 5 years, the plan is to put 350,000 hectares under irrigation. As we speak, there are 30 irrigation projects being implemented. These come up to 1,450 hectares. There are 10 projects covering 581 hectares that are waiting commissioning. And yes, if you've been out on the farms, you have seen that we have more and more center pivots out there. Some of these are part of a plan to install 34 new pivots in this year. This way, we'll be better prepared for any climate shocks. Our industries will be sure of getting the inputs they need to keep running. What else do we need to see? More green energy. The power shortages we saw in previous years decimated our factories. Lessons have been learned. There's a lot more investment now in solar power. We need more and bigger investment in this area. We want the government to give incentives to manufacturers that invest in solar. What about working capital? Here's a figure we got from the Finance Minister's recent midterm budget review. Of the total amount of loans given out to banks, 84.75% went to the productive sector. This is a good thing, but of the loans that went to the productive sector, 31% went to agriculture. Just 11% went directly to the manufacturers. There must be better access to capital for industries. What about small businesses? This must be the era of the small manufacturer. It's no longer about those big industries alone. Local small manufacturers are making a big difference around the world. Here in Zimbabwe, we are seeing many small players making great innovations. Who knew we would be buying chips made from bananas from the Eastern Highlands? But this is happening. They need our support. We want to see venture capital coming in to support entrepreneurs who have great ideas but not enough capital to make those dreams come true. The potential is showing. What about our workers? Salaries. As industry continues along the recovery path and companies post better results, those who work day in and day out to make this possible should also receive salaries more reflective of their efforts. Some of our industries are buzzing again. Capacity utilization is going up. Investment in green energy is growing. We have more local goods on the shop shelves than we did 4 years ago. But we can do more. We can rebuild our industry and build it better than we did before. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.